morning everybody, Car and Biker here. Out for a little ride with Graham, Adventures with Woody, who's ahead of me. Nice leisurely ride. We're going to Grassington today, which I believe is the place where they shoot the new All Creatures Great and Small. Graham was saying he's been through it a few times and never actually stopped there and had a walk around, so we're going to stop and have a walk around. Saw a news story the other day. Came up on the local news on the TV. Now the local news is pretty weak on news generally, which is a surprise because I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff does happen that they're not telling us about. But usually they try and turn whatever is the major national news or international news story of the day into a local news story, so they can carry on with the national news that's just been on. So quite often it's you know, there's been a tsunami or something in the Far East, and here's a chap from Yorkshire who once went to the Far East. So, you know, it's a bit dubious, but they came with a local story, and the local story confused me. Well, it didn't confuse me, it's a really simple story. The way the story was put forward was, a man has been arrested after driving along the motorway at 135 miles an hour. And you think, okay, fair enough. And then they went on a little bit more about where it was and how fast he'd been going and how the police had chased him. Not the chief had placed him. The police had chased him and all that kind of thing for a couple of minutes. And then they said it was a stolen car. So they were actually chasing a thief of a stolen car. And you think, well, maybe that makes you understand why they arrested him, because normally speeding isn't really an arrestable offence. It's normally a see you in court offence at 135 miles an hour and don't expect to be driving too much longer if you've been going that speed. But it's not arrestable, so they went on to say, you know, he'd actually stolen the car. And then another couple of paragraphs spoken, and then they finally said, and he was an armed man, armed with a knife. And, you know, I suppose that's worthy of a news story. It's a good reason for avoiding the news, because most of the news is so blooming miserable, but I suppose that's worthy of a news story. But my thought on it was, isn't this the wrong way around? Really? Of those three things, what's the order of importance? What would be the thing that most made it news to you? Let me know in them there comments. For me, I think the fact that there's somebody going around with a knife is probably the most important thing. I mean, I don't know why he had the knife. Maybe he had some toast with him as well. He didn't say what type of knife it was or anything like that. So maybe he was just, you know, he was buttering some bread or something. So maybe that's not the most important thing. But the way they put it across was armed violent man. So I would have thought armed violent man with a knife was more important. And then probably steals car. Unless he stole it at knife point. They didn't say that. I don't think he carjacked anybody. The impression given was that he stole the car, yeah, probably parked outside somewhere. So if that's the case, then I would say potentially violent armed man steals car and then drives it at 135 miles an hour, chased by the police and then arrested. If he stole it off somebody at knife point, then I would say man carjacks person at knife point, steals car, then drives 135 miles an hour, is chased by the police and is arrested. I can't understand the point at which the speeding is the most important part of that news story. Now, am I being oversensitive to the way the news is portrayed? And I'm sure somebody will start talking about how mainstream media are all corrupt and everything, but I'm not meaning that. I'm meaning, am I just overanalyzing it? Or have we actually become a country where people think speeding on a motorway, let's be fair, it's a motorway, there's not kids crossing the road. You know, it's not kind of your standard, it's not 135 miles an hour through residential property, absolutely, that's, you know. But speeding on a motorway, have we really become a country where speeding on a motorway, where it's probably the safest place to do it, is more important, more newsworthy than man steals car armed with knife, or man has knife, steals car. Don't know. What do you think? That was just my little thought. Maybe I'm missing the point. I would not condone riding 135 miles an hour on a motorway. Just to make that absolutely clear. I'm not saying speeding's great. I'm saying I'm not sure it's as bad as being an armed robber. Anyway, let me know what you think in them there comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.